All right, everybody, welcome back to the DVR podcast. We took a little bit of time off just because we're gonna kind of change a little bit how we do things, and so we haven't. When was the last time we did one?
Think Talladega.
I don't even think we did one for Dega. I think it was before Dega. Oh wait, we did
I
record Talladega, then we didn't put it out. That's right. So you're right. It is Talladega.
It was the Martinsville.
Yeah. Okay. So it's been a minute. Changed a couple things, kind of, sort of. Yes and no. But anyway, let's just kind of dive on into the Darlington weekend, looking at some truck results here. If I have the correct page open, yeah. So I am a genius. I picked Christian Eckes and he won, so that makes me feel pretty good. Good pick.
I picked Zane Smith, which was terribly wrong.
I don't know what happened to him.
I just don't
he was
know what
very much not like Zane Smith.
Yeah, it was very weird. He was nowhere near the front, which is really odd. But yeah, you made a pretty good pick. I was kind of debating between Zane Smith and William Byron, but I had hopes for Zane Smith, but yeah, not the best start to the weekend.
Yeah, Zane Smith ended up 22nd. I thought about picking Byron for a second, and I ultimately went with Eckes because there was just something in the back of my head that I was like, you know what? Eckes has been, I mean, he hasn't been doing amazing the last couple of weeks, but he's been doing pretty good, and so it's like my initial instinct was to go with Eckes, and then I was like, nah, but Byron's in the race. And honestly, I almost changed it at the last second until I texted you. Then I was like, nah, I'll just stick with Eckes. So I'm glad I stuck with him. I almost traded him for Byron.
And Rajah Caruth, man, he had a really good run. I mean, for one point, I thought he was going to win the race.
I don't know if he would have won because they were coming down to like the end, but definitely would have gotten second or third because that man was on a mission coming to the end of the race, finishing sixth.
That dude had like rockets underneath his car.
Yeah, had Timmy Hill not spun, we would have been looking at a Rajah Caruth top 3 finish. But, you know, in classic Truck Series fashion, we had a couple of late race restarts. Byron just didn't go on one of them, backed up the top lane, and Caruth ended up coming home 6th, which is just still a solid finish, but unfortunately got robbed of that top 3. Yeah. Bubba Wallace, top 10, coming home 7th. That's really good for him. Yeah, then Corey Heim, top 10, which amazing he wasn't caught up in that one crash. Who was spinning? Was that the Zane Smith accident that almost took out Corey Heim?
I think so, yeah.
Yeah. You know, I also just want to say, because it was Darlington Throwback weekend, all the Tricon trucks doing the ThroSport Throwbacks, all of them were just beautiful. Even the ones that didn't have a throwback, even just having the throwback numbers, I loved them.
Yeah, even like the Bubba Wallace car. Like, it was not a throwback, but they still made it a throwback just by putting the Red Horse Racing font and everything.
Any fun, notable finishes that you wanna talk about while we scroll through here?
Caden Honeycutt got a top 10.
Oh, Haley Deegan finishing 20th. I'm surprised she finished 20th after the late race fiasco of her not getting tires toward the end.
Literally just like dropped like a rock. She went from like first to like 19th in like 2 laps or 3 laps or something like that.
I mean, she led a couple laps, so I guess it kind of paid off, but maybe they didn't think the tires were going to fall off like that.
Yeah, I think that last caution, she got the fresh tires and kind of worked her way back up, but not enough time.
Yeah, she's lucky she didn't get wrecked because it was coming off, turn 4, and she just wasn't moving. They stacked up big time. They almost ran her over. Tires, we learned, very important.
Very important, especially at Darlington where the tire fall off is
oh, yeah.
Tremendous.
So, the other thing I wanted to note, because we had Chase Purdy involved in an accident, which also sucked, so he ended up 32nd. But looking at the last place finishers of Dawson Cram and Brennan Poole, those are both the G2G trucks. Is this the first time that this year that both the trucks have finished last? Because I know usually one of them finishes pretty well.
I think so. I wouldn't be surprised if it hasn't been.
I was going to say, because that's something I noticed. I was like, dude, that's 2 team trucks finishing last together.
Yeah, I mean, it probably has been, but like I said, I'm not too surprised if they have because they've usually been kind of always in the back. I mean, Brennan Poole this year has been pretty good. I mean, even last week he's been able to bring that team to a better finish. I think they were close to even finishing in the top 10. So I mean, yeah, I mean
'Cause-
for a team like that, it's not surprising. But I mean, when you have somebody like Brennan Poole, that can be a little bit more surprising because uh, he's been pretty consistent with his runs. So
Yeah, because something I noticed with G2G this year specifically is that when both of their trucks make the race, one of them finishes really well and the other one finishes like last. And I'm not sure what's going on with that. Like, this is the first time I think this year that both of them have finished last. Because usually, it's usually the 46 that finishes pretty well. Because I'm pretty sure Ogata had a top 15 finish at one point in the 46. Because it's like, that's just something I picked up, and I thought that was really interesting that when both trucks are in the race, one's usually in the top 20, and the other one's just dead last.
I don't even know if that 47 is full time. I think it's mainly
It's
just like a
not.
part time truck.
Yeah, no, it's part. It might be a start and part truck. I think that's why it's usually in the back. I think that's just the. That's probably the start and park one because that's probably usually why they're in the back. Okay, so now I have a question for you. Since it is Darlington, it's the throwback weekend. Do you have a favorite paint scheme that ran this weekend for trucks?
Ooh, that's a good one. Mine has to be the Ken Block one. I forgot who it was, but somebody ran a Ken Block throwback.
The
It
33. I don't
was
think they made the race.
33.
Though. I'm pretty sure it was the 33. Yeah, they didn't make the race though.
Yeah, I like the. It was very fitting because it was the Hoonicorn truck. It's based off the Hoonigan truck, and it's a truck series. So I thought that was my favorite. I mean, unfortunately, it didn't make the race, but I remember seeing some pictures on Twitter, and when I saw that, I was like, that's definitely my favorite.
You know what? For me, I think the 33 throwback is a strong second. But I think my favorite truck that I saw all weekend was the 11.
The 11 was pretty cool.
Himes. I don't know why. I just really loved that Red Horse throwback. And I think it's because I really liked Red Horse Racing back when they were still operating. So, like, I don't know. Just seeing that red and white truck, the old Timothy Peters throwback, was just really cool for me. So, I really liked Corey Himes' throwback.
Yeah, that one's pretty cool. I like the little red over the top of the car.
And it was a Toyota, too, because I know Red Horse always ran Toyota. So it's like everything matched. Like the manufacturer matched, the number was the same. It was great. All right. Since now that we've looked at the results and stuff, we want to take a peek at some points.
Sure.
So really, no surprise here. Even though Zane Smith had a terrible Darlington, he had a big enough points lead that he never lost the points lead. So Zane Smith is actually still the Truck Series points leader coming out of Darlington. Corey Heim is second in the points, followed by Ty Majeski, Grant Enfinger, Ben Rhodes rounding out the top 5, and then Christian Eckes, Tanner Gray, Matt Crafton, Nick Sanchez, and Stuart Friesen rounding up the top 10. And just a reminder, these aren't official NASCAR points. This is our own little fantasy points thing that we're doing this year. And so Chris, do you have the legitimate actual NASCAR points open?
Zane Smith, Majeski, Heim, Ben Rhodes, Eckes, Enfinger, Crafton, Gray, or Tanner Gray, Sanchez, Friesen. Yeah, that's my top 10.
Nice. Okay, so all the same drivers, just in mildly different orders. First of all, I would just like to know the Xfinity Big One and the fact that it only took out like 3 cars. Like there were like 87 cars in the wreck and only 3 of them actually ended up DNFing, which I think is actually really impressive.
Yeah. I think I missed that big one, but I remember catching up the highlights on that one.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's just very bizarre to see that many cars involved in that wreck.
It was weird to watch. I'm sitting on my... Yeah, because I was on the phone with you because you were driving. And I just watched the entire field explode. And I'm like, damn, that's the whole field. And then everybody drove away aside from like 3 or 4 cars. And like, it blew my mind that many cars crashed and only 3 of them ended up DNFing. Because I think the only DNFs in that wreck specifically were Chandler Smith, Truex, and Jones. Because I think because I know Riley Herbst had an issue early in the race. I'm pretty sure Blaine Perkins was in a separate crash. And then Ryan Ellis was a later caution. And then Joe Graff Jr. Actually drove into the back of somebody on the last restart and didn't finish the race. And so those are the only DNFs. And so the fact that we wrecked like 17 cars in one corner and only DNF'd like 4 of them, blown away.
but pretty eventful race, I would say. I mean, the finish was really good.
Speaking of the finish, this was your redemption arc because you picked Larson to win.
Yeah. Um. Yeah. It was funny. I had a bad race, and then you had a bad race for Xfinity.
Yeah. I was like, where did because I picked Sheldon Creed. Where did he end up? He ended up.
Creed finished
Ooh, finished 25th.
25th.
Okay. Yeah. So yeah, you had a bad truck race and I had a real bad Xfinity race. So, but yeah, so Kyle Larson take home the checkered for Chris's redemption arc. Austin Hill was part of that accident. He ended up finishing 4th, so it didn't hurt him too much.
Yeah, and I was kind of surprised. I thought he was going to finish worse.
I think we all did. And then
I was kind of expecting him to be like, top 15, top 20.
Yeah, and then John Hunter Nemechek crashing across the line, which that was close between he and Custer.
Yeah.
Because he came shooting
Custer
back up
gassed
the track.
it, I think, like you said, just to avoid hitting him.
Yeah, because which really exciting finish, by the way. That was
yeah,
a cool
it was.
finish to watch.
It was a very cool finish. It was kind of cool to see.
It sucks if you're John Hunter Nemechek, but like for everybody watching, it was pretty cool.
Yeah, if you're John Hunter Nemechek, you're not having a good time. But
No.
the finish overall was good. I mean, as far as like the fans, I'm sure they enjoyed it. But yeah, I mean, you love those finishes just because like you want to see them battle it out, and I think for them to kind of go out like that just kind of put the icing on the cake.
Yeah, for sure. Definitely really. I mean, I'm not gonna lie. I'm kind of a Joe Gibbs Racing fan, and so I was a wee bit upset that Nemechek got wrecked and Larson won. But as a racing fan, incredible finish.
Very incredible.
Yeah, and then what? Ooh, sorry.
Oh, I was gonna say he still ended up being like the top finishing Toyota. Backwards.
Oh, he was. Yeah. No, actually, his nose did cross the line first. A little bit sideways, but finished it going in the right direction more or less. And something I wasn't prepared for was Spire Motorsports and Carson Hocevar finishing 6th.
Yeah, I'm sure they're affiliated with some sort of Xfinity team to where they're competitive. I just don't know where they get their pit crew from. I don't know if they get it. I don't know if they get the Spire pit crew or if they get like a pit crew from somebody else. I don't know, but yeah, they were on top of their game.
I like to think it's all just Spire equipment and their Xfinity team is just OP.
Custer got a top 3. It's getting a little bit better.
He did. They're improving their season slowly but steady because after we pooed all over them early in the season, it's like I think they hurt us.
Yeah. So I'm starting to see a little bit more improvement for Custer. Corey Heim was in this weekend too, which is kind of surprising, but he finishes top 10 too in the 24.
Mm-hmm. Both the Sam Hunt racing cars in the top 10.
Yeah. But I'm not hearing a lot of noise from Parker.
Yeah, he disappeared.
Yeah, he finished 13th, but the team's been kind of quiet lately. I don't know. I think like towards the beginning of the season, they were kind of a lot of people have a lot of expectations for them to finish top 10, top 5, but they've been kind of quiet. I mean, a lot of it's not their fault either because they get involved in wrecks and unfortunate circumstances, mechanical issues and stuff like that. But yeah, it's been pretty quiet lately.
Yeah, they came out swinging earlier this season, and then they guess they got tired.
Yeah, so hopefully, I'm hoping they're gonna come back and start making some more noises again.
So yeah, both DGM cars top 20, 17 and 18th with Josh Williams and Ross Chastain. Yeah, I guess that's all the notables so far. Aside from the DNFs we talked about earlier, I want to mention Joe Graf Jr. finishing 32nd. There was no mention of this on the broadcast, and I feel like I'm the only one who noticed this. But on the last restart, they stacked up, and Joe Graf ran into the back of somebody because he was running top 15. I think he was up in he had to have been somewhere around the top. I don't think he was top 10, but he was definitely inside the top 15. And on that last restart, when they stacked up, he just drove to the back of somebody, and I think it punctured the radiator because there was a lot of smoke going around the racetrack for a couple laps. And then Joe Graf Jr. comes up as a DNF here. So I think he DNF'd in the last 2 laps of that race. But I think that's all the notable finishes. And so let's take a peek at the points here. So for John Hunter Nemechek on the top of the board, followed by Austin Hill. those two separated by 4 points. And to be honest with you, Chris, these two have been so dominant and consistent all season long. I really think the championship's just going to come down to Nemechek and Hill, because Josh Berry is currently sitting in third, but it's not even really that close of a third. Like, there's a pretty decent gap between Hill and Berry from second and third. Justin Allgaier sitting in fourth with Cole Custer in fifth. A couple of Smiths with Chandler and Sammy in sixth and seventh. Sam Mayer in eighth. Daniel Hemrick in ninth. And then Jeb Burton rounds out the top 10 for the DVR Xfinity points.
Oh, wow. Yeah, I think John Hunter and Austin Hill will definitely be in the Final Four. Based off like how their performance been this year, they definitely seem like championship contender teams. So I definitely see those two in the Final Four. I have John Hunter Nemechek first, Austin Hill second, then Allgaier and Berry, then Custer rounding up the top 5, Chandler Smith, Sheldon Creed, Sammy Smith, Riley Herbst, and Sam Mayer rounding up the top 10.
Damn, the bottom half of our top 10 is very different. I don't even have Sheldon Creed in my top 10 in points.
Yeah, he's 94 points away from the leader.
So it's going to be interesting how it actually ends up, because just for audience, if you're tuning in for the first time, we're doing 2 different points championships. We're doing our own little DVR fantasy points championship with our own point system to kind of see how things shake out season long. And then we're also following along with the official NASCAR points. And so I want to see how different when we get to the playoffs, because we know everything gets turned upside down when the playoffs start with all the elimination and whatnot. So it'll be interesting to see how the points grow and change or shrink during the playoffs for the actual NASCAR events, and how it grows and shrinks for our fantasy points. So
yeah, and I think a lot of teams will kind of start relying on just the bonus points and the playoff points to kind of get them in, because a lot of teams like they'll be doing really good, and then they'll have a mechanical failure in the first race, and then they'll just
get
pretty
Chastain.
much, yeah, that too, and they're pretty much like relying on those like extra bonus points to help them like pretty much limp them into the next round.
Yeah, so that's going to be interesting to follow along. Any closing notes? Are you ready to skedaddle into Cup?
Ready for Cup. I guess since we're kind of going on a trend here, we can do like your favorite Xfinity throwback.
Thank you for saying that, because I was going to do favorite Xfinity throwback and I completely forgot to mention it already. Okay, what's your favorite Xfinity throwback? Enlighten me.
Mine is Riley Herbst. You kind of notice a little trend there, the Ken Block trend.
The Ken Block throwback, yeah.
it's hard not to like that one. That one was just like it's beautiful. It's absolutely like just amazing how Monster Energy just kind of collabed with the Ken Block paint scheme, and then it just it pretty much just looks spot on.
Yeah, no, it's great.
So.
You know what? I actually, this is one of the moments where I'm actually going to agree with you. Like they revealed the 98, and I was like, this is a beautiful damn car. So
yeah,
I really liked that Riley Herbst throwback, and so I'm actually going to agree with you on that one and say that's probably my favorite Xfinity throwback for the weekend.
Yeah, there was a lot of good ones though.
Yeah,
I think.
Yeah, what would be your number 2?
My number 2.
Yeah. Well, while you look for that, I'm actually going to tell you what my favorite Xfinity throwback, my second favorite behind the Riley Herbst Ken Block one, was actually Anthony Alfredo's Dale Jr. throwback. I thought that was done really well.
Yeah, that one was really cool.
That's my solid number 2.
Yeah, that one was pretty cool. I have a very hard pick between 2. So I like I'm picking between the 02, the payday car, which is really neat, from Blaine Perkins.
Yeah.
And then I'm stuck between that and the Jeffrey Earnhardt Wheaties car. So that one I'm very, I was heavily debating those two, but I'm stuck between those two cars. I know those are like
they're tied for second.
Yeah.
So ready to scooch into Cup?
Yes. I am ready for Cup.
So, going over to the slot car demolition derby. That was Darlington. Once again, 2 in a row for you, Chris. You picked William Byron to win, and he done did it in Darlington earlier
He
today.
did done did it.
At the time of recording, this will be released on Tuesday or Wednesday, but Sunday we're recording, and William Byron the winner. Kevin Harvick's second with all the crash damage was pretty nice.
I mean, for him to finish second with all that damage is pretty impressive.
Yeah.
Almost makes you think, well, what would happen if he didn't have all that damage?
He probably still would have finished second just based on the run Byron got. I'm not gonna lie to you, Chief.
He was pretty gone.
Yeah.
The dude just checked out.
Car was too good. The Chase Elliott pooed all over himself in his post-race interview, but I would say third is nothing to be shy about. I don't know why Chase Elliott hates himself so much. They ran a really good race, got in a crash, and still finished third. So
I missed that. Somebody posted something on Twitter. It was like a meme about him just being upset. But yeah,
he poo-pooed about. I didn't see the interview, but I saw a clip of it, and he was really disappointed. And I was just like, why? You finished third in a wrecked race car. Why are you sad? Give yourself some credit, my guy.
Yeah, I think he was just more of like, I think he feels like he could have done better.
Well, I mean, you can always do a little bit better if you don't win the race, but like he did everything I feel like he could have. He had a car that was in a crash not that long ago, and has a leg that apparently was still hurting him a little bit. He was uncomfortable in the car from what I saw a couple times, and so it's like you take an uncomfortable driver in a wrecked race car and finish third. I'll take that as a W. That's pretty good. So.
Pretty good day. Kyle Busch came back for a top 10. I mean, Jesus, he could have timed it any better, overdriving his pit stall and then getting stuck in the back and then just pretty much avoiding all but wrecks.
Yeah, that's what it was. The field just nuked in front of him, and he was like, all right, I guess I'll pick up a couple free spots.
He's like, I guess we made a good choice here, all right.
Yeah, but Harrison Burton, this is the best I think he's ever done this year.
Top 10, yeah.
Yeah, 6, just outside the top 5.
I mean, he was running pretty consistent, too. I mean, it wasn't just a random or just a lucky draw, but he was running up there for majority of the race.
Yeah, I was going to say, you went right to Kyle Busch, and I was like, damn, you're just going to scooch right over Harrison Burton like that? Come on. Both the RFK cars in the top 10, Keselowski 4th, and then Chris Buescher coming in 10th.
Todd Gilliland got a top 15, finished 11th, right outside the top 10, which is pretty impressive.
He did. And then Stenhouse, after his spin, coming home 13th, was able to recover from that. Larson, I thought Larson DNF, to be honest with you, and so he finished 20th on the lead lap, which for some reason in my brain, I thought that he just didn't finish the race because I saw them toying off Chastain's car. So I just figured Larson was also done, and so I was a little bit shocked to see that he finished 20th on the lead lap.
Yeah, I thought he was just going to take it to the garage.
So, could have won the race. That was my pick. I picked Kyle Larson, and then he got Chastain into the wall, so that's how my day ended. Eric Jones, I want to give a shout-out to the tire changer on Eric Jones's car for not putting the wheel on and causing the mini one. The miniature big one on the backstretch.
The tire just literally just flew off the car.
Yeah. They were having a good run, too. Well, I mean, they weren't having an amazing run, but they were running pretty okay when that tire came off, and then NASCAR held them for 2 laps, so they were looking at a lead lap finish until their tire came off.
And just completely obliterated the whole field. And then Truex's wild run, dive bomb.
Oh, yeah, Truex. Before we get to Truex, though, Ryan Newman's return finishes 28th. Got caught up in one of the crashes, but, first time back. He was also apparently wildly uncomfortable in the car, so 28th, not the best showing, but also not terrible.
Especially for a Rick Ware car, so.
Yeah, and then for a driver who hasn't even sat in one of these cars before, so yeah. And then Ross Chastain, 29th with his fun little bonsai move into Larson. Okay, so now you were talking about Truex and his 31st place finish.
Like, the poor dude was having a great race, and then I think it just all went downhill right after him just dive bombing it after stage 2. Was it stage 2? Yeah, it was stage 2.
Yeah, it was the end of stage 2.
Like he just dive bombed into the turn and then just completely just ended his race after that. I mean, he came back up and then just got involved in another wreck.
It's been a while since I've seen a day just fall apart as quickly as Martin Truex's day did.
It was just kind of sad to see just how it just unfolded. Poor guy was just having a great run and then just kind of broke apart.
I know Daniel Suarez and Austin Dillon, but they were involved in that backstretch crash with the when the wheel came off, weren't they?
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
they got involved in that wreck. I remember seeing Suarez. I think he spun out, and then I think he got caught speeding, and then his day was pretty much done.
That's what they mean by he got to be perfect. Had Suarez not been caught speeding, he probably wouldn't have been in that fiasco on the backstretch. But then the racing world is really strange when it comes to the luck because in the case of Daniel Suarez, speeding on pit road is the reason he didn't finish the race because he got caught up in the tire fiasco. But then if you're Kyle Busch, you overshoot your pit stall and you're angry because now you lose all those spots. But overshooting the pit stall ultimately is what kept him out of that big crash in turn 2 because had he executed the pit stop perfectly, he would have been right in the middle of all that.
Kind of sucks for Suarez. He was having a good run. I think the whole Trackhouse team was having a really great run with Chastain just pretty much dominating the whole race.
Yeah, they imploded that real quick.
I mean, the man literally just said it that he meant to run him into the wall.
Yeah, he really did. He said, I meant to squeeze him up into the wall, then it backfired on him. It was just like, bro, what did you think was going to happen? The whole weekend we saw the inside car crashing off the outside car getting squeezed into the wall. Did he not watch any of the races this weekend?
Yeah.
That's what happened in every race is the outside car would get squeezed, bounce off the wall, and the inside car would wreck. Like, it was happening the entire weekend. I don't know why he thought that was a good idea. Anyone else you want to mention before we take a peek at the points?
I think that's it.
Yeah, because I didn't have any other big notable finishes here. Okay, well, so while you pull up the cup points, a fun little nugget for the DVR points. Ross Chastain was the points leader going into Darlington, but because of his fun little bonsai move trying to put Larson into the wall, he now loses the points lead to Christopher Bell. So Chastain down to second. Christopher Bell retakes the points lead. Kevin Harvick is third, followed by Ryan Blaney. Martin Truex Jr. drops a couple spots to fifth. Denny Hamlin in sixth. Kyle Busch up to seventh. Brad Keselowski in eighth. Ricky Stenhouse Jr. still has not left the top 10 in points since his Daytona 500 win. He's sitting nicely in ninth. And then Tyler Reddick sitting and rounding out the top 10. So.
I got Chastain still leading. I got Bell, Harvick, Hamlin, Byron, Truex, Blaney, Reddick, Keselowski, and Larson in the top 10.
Damn. That is very different. Actually, that don't look anything like what I got.
Yeah, it's way different.
The top two are the same but swapped. But no, it's how close is the points lead between Bell and Chastain for you?
For me, from Bell and Chastain, it's 27 points difference.
Oh shit, really? Okay, yeah, no, because for the DVR points, it's a 4-point difference. Bell has a 4-point lead over Chastain right now. Now we've looked at points. What was your favorite cup throwback? You got a favorite cup one?
Ooh. My favorite cup throwback. That's a tough one.
I was gonna say there were a lot of good ones in cup. Actually, the teams who participated just knocked him out of the park this year.
I would say my favorite one's the Kyle Busch 2023 Fontana one.
I'm gonna slap you.
Let's see. It's so hard to pick because there's a lot of good ones. I think my favorite one is going to be the 48 one, the Ally. Okay. I like the throwback to, what's his name, Kevin Hamlin's car. Thought that was pretty cool. But my favorite one has to be, I mean, it has to be the 24. You can't go wrong with that. I think it's very fitting for the 75th anniversary, and then, this is a throwback to the 50th anniversary one. So I thought this one was very fitting just with this whole season. So I would say that was my first favorite. My second one, I thought the Elliott one was kind of cool. I mean, it's simple. It's just the number. But I liked it. I mean, because they pretty much just changed everything. They changed the font of the 9 to make it look like the old Bill Elliott 9.
Okay, I'm going to agree with you on the favorite. I think the 24 absolutely nailed the throwback. I really enjoyed the good old throwback Exalta car. My second favorite, however, that's where we're going to veer off path. My number 2, I actually really liked Christopher Bell's Matt Kenseth throwback. I thought that one was really cool.
Yeah, that one was really cool. I think the only thing that throws off for me is just like the way that the number font's on.
Yeah, I tried to ignore that though. Honestly, I think they did a really good job with it. I think it's good, but like Honestly,
Yeah.
for me, it was either going to come down to Christopher Bell's Matt Kenseth throwback or Noah Gregson's throwback. 'Cause I thought Noah Gregson's throwback was also just amazing.
Yeah, I
So
like that one too. I love
yeah.
the Jimmy Johnson one.
Um, one more thing before we wrap up is next week we're North Wilkesboro. I can't say that for some reason. For the All Star Weekend. So we're gonna have Darren Waltrip in the booth, and it has dawned on Chris and I earlier before we started recording that we don't think any current active driver in trucks or cup have actually raced at North Wilkesboro before when
It's
NASCAR was
gonna
still going.
be
'Cause
real interesting.
if anybody, I think Kevin Harvick has, because I think they stopped. I think the last race at Wilkesboro was what, like
I was like in 90.
it was '98, wasn't it?
Yeah, 98.
Yeah, so I think if anybody, I think Kevin Harvick would be the only one who's raced there. But I think if he had, he would have been in a truck or something.
Nah, he's never run North Wilkesboro.
Okay, I didn't know that. I thought he would have. Okay, all right. So we
Kinda
have
surprising.
an entire field of rookies going into North Wilkesboro for trucks. I think I'm more excited for the truck race than I am the Cup race. If I'm not gonna lie to you, so, because the Cup short track package hasn't exactly been amazing, but the trucks have been pretty good. So like, I'm actually really pumped for this truck race. Do you want to do picks now, or do you want to wait until midweek when we usually make them?
Let's wait until midweek.
Okay, sounds good. So there's the Wilkesboro preview, entire field of rookies. So with that being said, I guess unless you have any closing thoughts, you about ready to wrap up here?
Yep, I'm ready to go.
All right. Well, we had an interesting Darlington weekend. We're gonna have hopefully a really really good All Star weekend in Wilkesboro. And so without further ado, we're gonna wrap it up here. We'll see you guys next week.